Good day, warriors. This is Titan, humble servant to the veteran family member, and veteran supporters everywhere. It is my honor and privilege to assist you in any way possible. My goal today is to provide you with helpful tips that could be supplemental to your knowledge regarding transition from your active duty back to civilian life. As we can all imagine or have experienced, there's a lot going on during that transition period. Loss of valuable time and money can be a heavy consequence to pay for misinformed decision made. Fortunate for your families, your sound judgment and proven leadership represents only a portion of who you are as warriors. And we all know that warriors utilize available resources to figure out what's right and make things happen. Today, we're going to talk about one such resource. That's VA Form 21526-EZ. This is the application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. It's generally used for the FDC or Fully Developed Claims Program. Now, we talked about the Fully Developed Claims Program some months ago, but I'll briefly describe what we talked about. The FDC program is an optional initiative that offers veterans and survival faster decisions from VA on compensation, pension, and survival benefits. It's what we'll use as an application, and we're talking the topic of our discussion today. Now, you'll submit simultaneously with your claim all, if any, relevant private medical treatment records, and you will identify the relevant treatment records available at federal facilities such as VA medical centers. It is very important that you do this because the VA will have to go after those medical records when you put that those medical records exist to support your claim on your 526EZ. Now, I have to disclose that the content contained in this video is solely for informational purposes only, guys. The Department of Veterans Affairs is not a cooperative of Titans Media. And aside from the publicly published standardized VA forms retrieved from their website, it is not an affiliate in any known form, direct or otherwise. But there's hope. If you have any questions, you can always call a VA rep at 1-800-827-1000. Or you can call the local veteran support organization or your agent representative. Now, let's just go ahead and pull up this 21526-EZ. Application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. Now, this is a basic form, and it's one of the baser forms that you'll see quite frequently when you're dealing with the VA and submitting for claims. We're going to go over it block by block. Look here, like Jarhead B service member has already substantially completed their form. Now, it is imperative that when you submit a claim, that form is substantially completed and signed by the veteran submitting for the claim. Block number 1, looks like Jarhead here has his name fully spelled out. Number 2, right here, is social, self-explanatory. Date of birth. Now, these information that the VA is asking for, this is very important information because it helps them to prosecute your claim. Section 4 here basically states the sex. Now, Mr. Service Member here, he basically states that he's never filed a VA claim before. And Block 6 is not filled out because he has never been assigned a file number as a result of him not having filed a claim before. As we proceed, we're going down to the Block 7A. This veteran right here states that he is not currently homeless or at risk of becoming homeless, which is a substantial piece of information, because we don't want our veterans in any bad situations, but if they are in a bad situation, we want to try to expedite those claims. Any points of contact, names, or numbers, we need those informations. Look here. Mr. Service Member was a Marine of the active component. He thoroughly completed his address but he didn't fill out 9B, forwarding address and effective date, because of course his current mailing address is the mailing address that he wants his information forwarded to. Now, if he had a separate address for his forwarding address, he would need that effective date right here. That effective date would be the date that he wanted his information to start to transition from his current mailing address to his new mailing address. It would cue the VA to know the date that they need to stop forwarding his mail to his current address. 9C is preferred telephone number, preferred email, and Mr. Jarhead has also submitted a secondary email address. As we go down here, you might ask yourself, why are they providing so much information? Because contacting the veteran is very important to the VA. Whenever it's a fast-moving train. When they're submitting your claim, they need to know where you are at all times, because when you start getting appointments set up and they need information to supplement your claim, it's all about developing your claim. So direct lines of communication with the veteran is really helpful, so that they can expedite getting that stuff processed and getting it to the appropriate rating officials. All right, down at 11. Now this is a good area right here, section 11. It lists the disabilities that you're claiming. Mr. Jarhead is claiming bilateral hearing loss, tinnitus, and an ankle sprain that he experienced while he was in service. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. Hopefully, Mr. Service member have supporting documentation that he was treated in service for bilateral and diagnosed with bilateral hearing loss, or at least experienced some type of treatment. Also, we need to know, or the veteran, the VA needs to know, that if there were any private medical facilities that he was seen since he's been out, that those records have been forwarded to the VA for their review as well. Now, depending upon his MOS or his exposure, this veteran could be in the clear. He could be good to go. Like, say, for instance, if this veteran was an infantryman, then there are certain levels of hazardous exposure to hearing loss, hazardous exposure to noise that would lead to his subsequent hearing loss in that specific MOS. And as an 0311 or as an infantry marine, he would have experienced high levels of hazardous noise. A lot of MOSs you may not experience such noise. You may have moderate levels of noise, or even low levels of noise that you experience, which may or may not constitute an evaluation, an exam for that disability if you haven't been treated for it or chronically treated for it in service. But you don't have to be an infantry marine or a marine that's generally MOS is generally exposed to high levels of noise. You could be in a general MOS, but doing a job or have done a job that exposed you to high levels of noise and still meet the criteria. And the ankle sprain there looks like it's self-explanatory. He probably was on a hump or something like that, and carrying that pack, hurt his ankle or something while he was on the run, which would easily be proven by his service treatment records, as that hard charging Marine, even though they don't like going to medical, went and got that checked out so that his records were in order when he got out and was going to decide to file his claim. Let's go ahead and proceed. So, Section 12. Here's where you list the VAMC or Department of Defense medical treatment facilities where you receive your treatment. Mr. Jarhead here, he went to VAMC some city. And look here, he had 2 treatment dates. February 2003 and May 2007. He also had some other VAMC treatment facility where he was seen for whatever reason, or one of these reasons we would imagine, on May of 2009. He listed these dates specifically, and it should be easy to go into those VMC records and find those particular dates. Sometimes a veteran doesn't know when they were serviced, which could pose an issue. Here's how. Those veterans may or may not put a blank, kind of like a blank check of dates. So say that they were seen in May of 2003, but they don't remember exactly when. So they actually put January of 2003 to December of 2003, when they were actually seen from February 2003 to December of 2003. It's fine. The VA will go after those records, but here's how it can hold your claim up. What will happen is this. The claim representative has a directive to go after your records when you, on your application, put that there's a record that exists that could support your claim. Now, when they go after that record, they go in the system and see there's only February 2003 to December 2003 records. That veteran's representative is going to say, wait a minute, we're missing 2 months worth of records. And the veteran says he has substantial records that could support his claim, so we have to go after those records. So now that VA rep is going after those 2 months of records. And oh, by the way, those records do not exist. So we'll spend another 30 days going after those records. We'll get no response back. And then we'll have to do a statutory contact out there to the organization. Depending on what the organization are, determines the statutory periods or time frames that we have to go after those records. And then we'll go back out to the veteran as a last resort to see if he or she has any of those records that he states that he would have had at a VAMC. If they don't, and then we'll proceed with the appropriate notifications and get that stuff processed so that we can get it to the rater and process what we have accordingly. So it's very important, if you don't know your dates, try as best as possible to pinpoint around about the exact times that you were actually seen at these facilities, because it saves you time as it's your claim. Let's go ahead down here and proceed. Section 13. Now, Section 13 generally states that if you wish to file any of these particular additional claims, dependence, individual unemployability, post-traumatic stress disorder, and the list goes on here, there is a required form or set of forms that goes with that application in addition to the 526EZ that you filed. So you'd file that 526EZ, and then if you wanted to add dependents to that, you would also include Form 21686C. And if claiming a child 18 to 23 years old that is in school, you'll file that 21674, school-aged child. And we'll go over that in another class. Box 14, did you serve under another name? No, Mr. Jarhead didn't. Generally, we'll get the most active service from his DD-214 and some other documents, but it's good if they know generally, because sometimes if it's an initial claim, there will be no documents on file, so we'll have to initially start the claim with the information that the veteran supplies. So it's kind of good that you know precisely when you joined service and when you actually were discharged. No big deal until we can't find your records. All right. We're in the combat zone, place of last anticipated separation. This warrior right here got out in San Diego. Not currently serving in the National Guard. Not a prisoner of war. And didn't receive any type of separation or retired pay because he was only in for 10 years. Well, not only in for 10 years, because 10 years is a substantial amount of time to serve your country. But he didn't meet the requirement, the statutory requirement for, in his particular case, for retired or severance compensation. He did not check the block as a result because he didn't rate those criteria. He didn't want to waive VA benefits. Now, the Department of Treasury requires that all federal benefit payments be made in EFT, that's electronic funds transfer, or direct deposit. Now, if you do not have, or certify that you do not have an account with a financial institution or certifying payment agent, then what happens is you'll check the box stating that you certify this, and then the VA will, or the you will have to request a Direct Express Mastercard. And here's how you apply. Basically, there's a website up here, US Direct Express, or you can call this 1-800 number right here and get enrolled. Otherwise, this veteran right here states that he has a checking account. He gives us checking account information. He gives the bank name, and he also gives the routing data. All that information is needed for the VA rep to process your claim, to make sure that you get paid in a timely fashion in accordance with the Department of Treasury requirement. Now, box number 25 basically states that if you check this box right here, it states that I do not want my claim considered for rapid processing. It's basically stating that you filled out the 21526EZ, which is the form generally used for rapid processing. But in this case, you do not want to be processed in the FDC program. And generally, what happens is a veteran fills out his claim and decides, wait a minute, there's information that I need to get, more documentation that I need to get that I don't have right now. So therefore, I opt out of the FDC program. That way I can have a little bit more time to actually get my claim. I can submit my claim right now, but I need more time to get the documentation to support or substantiate my claim. So the veteran would check this box right here. As a result, the VA will exclude you from the FDC program, but then they will commence to processing you in the standard program. No big difference except the time frame in which it's processed. You'll get the same quality of care on your application. It's just that it's now not in the FDC program, stating that when I submit this claim, I have all documentation to support my claim right now. And then there's the service member right here, signed and dated his claim. This is a substantially completed 21526EZ form. He doesn't have any witnesses because he states basically that he doesn't have a PAO, power of attorney, or an agent at this time that he's using to act on his behalf, even though he signed the 526EZ. He's basically handling it all on his own. If you have any issues or need clarification on a certain matter, your VSO, Veteran Services Organization, is your best bet, or that 1-800 number to the VA. It'll be very helpful. And then once you've established your claim, keep constant or sufficient or substantial communication with the VA so that they can have access to you, or so that the VAMCs or the examiners that need to contact and schedule exams for you can contact you in a timely fashion to get those exams taken care of. Because once those exams are taken care of, those examiners will do their thing. They'll process it, and then they'll send it back to the VA. The VA will put that with your case file, review your case file to make sure that everything is in there, and then they'll send it to the rating officials for their consideration. Constant, fluid communication. Not as much as you don't need, just enough to get your stuff processed. Now, there's other things that can get you excluded from the FDC program, like submitting your claim stating that I have everything right here, right now, and then subsequently coming back maybe a week later stating I want to add some stuff. That'll get you excluded. I'm not saying don't add stuff to your claim. I'm just saying that's something that you may want to consider. The best bet is to sit down and thoroughly think out what you need to do, review your medical records, get some consultation from your VSO so that you can substantially complete your claim the first time. Make sure everything is squared away. But as the veteran, it is your right to get any clarification or file your claim, a claim that you rate. But on your best behalf, just make sure that you do it right. All right. So today we discussed transition tools such as the VA Form 21526EZ. This is the application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. We talked about simultaneously submitting private medical treatment records and your need to identify the relevant treatment records available at federal facilities such as VAMC. Very important. We briefly discussed the FDC, Fully Developed Claims Program. And finally, we discussed where you can get subsequent assistance, such as from VA, the 1-800 hotline, 1-800-827-1000, your local veteran support organization, VSOs, or agent representatives. I hope this information has been very helpful to you. Until next time, Titan out.